Hey guys, in today's video, we're talking all about how to set up a Talkback mic for your live performances. So a Talkback mic is a microphone that is set up somewhere on the stage, off the side of the stage. The audience doesn't hear it, but the musicians can hear it, usually in in-ear monitors, and it's used to communicate with the band. So this can be useful for like the singer to talk to the musicians to say, hey, let's skip this song. Hey, we just got added to play another 20 minutes. Hey, don't start this song until I've changed my guitar tuning or something like that. It's useful for any time that you need to give instructions or communicate with the musicians on the stage without the audience hearing it. So in this video, I'm going to go over the 5 different levels that I've come up with for setting up a Talkback mic and how to set up all of them. From just very basic, which I do at some shows, to the most advanced wireless with wireless MIDI, which I also do at some of my shows. And I'm going to give you all the options in between. Anything I talk about for as far as gear, the links will be down in the description down below as well. Before we get started, this is a music tech channel. Gear reviews, programming, tutorials. I do gear giveaways on this channel. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell to be notified when I put out new videos. And hitting the thumbs up button is a free way to support the channel. Also, just FYI, this works best when the musicians are on in-ear monitors. If you know nothing about in-ear monitors, I do have a video going over a beginner's guide to in-ear monitors, as well as how to set up your own in-ear monitor rack. So check out both of those videos if you are interested. Okay, so method 1. This is the easiest method. This just involves one microphone placed somewhere, usually on the stage, and it goes directly to your in-ear monitors. It never goes to front of house, it just goes to your ears. Oftentimes this is placed by the drum set, pointed away from the drum, so pointed towards the audience. I did this recently for a few shows and it looks like this. We did this on our New Year's Eve show. I've done this quite a few times actually. This is the easiest method to set up. I of course set up a wireless, yours does not have to be wireless. So it's sat directly to the left of the drum set because that was closest to our singer, so all he had to do was just turn around, talk into the mic, say play this next song, and then go back to performing. I'm doing another show tomorrow where someone specifically off the stage is going to be communicating with us when to start and stop songs. It's a really complicated show, but they're going to be completely off stage. They're not the musicians, and they're going to have a Talkback mic specifically just to go into our ears. This can also be done, with non-musicians. So a sound guy or a manager, or if you're at like a church, a pastor or something like that could communicate with you. And the microphone can be completely off stage. It doesn't have to always be on stage. It can be anywhere else on the stage. It's just used to communicate with you and the musicians directly. So if you're using an in-ear monitor system and you're not splitting the signal to front of house, again, if you don't know how to do that, check out my video, but you have just your dedicated mixer, you're running sound for front of house usually, and everyone just plugs into your mixer. This is the easiest method. You have a dedicated line. Ours is channel 15 on our mixer. We plug in our mic to channel 15. We make sure that the fader for channel 15 out for the mains is completely off. And then in each of our in-ear monitors, we adjust it to taste and how loud that we need it. So you set up that channel just exactly like you would any other channel. Set the gain, set the EQ properly. And then again, make sure that the fader for a front of house is all the way down, and then you turn it up for your in-ear monitors. However, if you don't have that and you just have a sound guy who is going to be sending you an in-ear monitor mix, you just have to tell them, hey, this is a Talkback mic. Make sure this does not go to front of house, and this just goes to our in-ear monitors. So during sound check, when you have to do this, turn up the kick drum, and all that stuff, it's just the same thing. You're going to set up a Talkback mic, you talk into it, and you say, I need more of that, I need less of that in my in-ear monitors. So if you're using an in-ear monitor mixer with a splitter, so this is where all the instruments plug into this splitter, and then the signal splits, and one side goes to the front of house to be mixed, and the other side goes to your in-ear monitors for you to mix. If you do this, it's the same idea. You set up a channel, again, ours is channel 15, you go into the splitter, and then you just make sure that you do not send that signal out to front of house. Everything else, the guitar, the bass, the drums, all of that stuff will be passed to front of house. This Talkback mic does not go to front of house because they don't need it out there. You could also skip the splitter altogether and just go directly into the mixer. That's a good way to ensure that they don't accidentally get a split signal from this Talkback mic. So whichever one of those 3 methods you're using, a sound guy or an in-ear monitor rack with a splitter or an in-ear monitor rack with no splitter, just make sure that whatever the Talkback mic is plugged into, that does not get sent to front of house. FYI, I just did a review recently on a portable wireless microphone, It's completely portable. It's only a $50 wireless microphone. 2 people left a comment saying this would actually work great for a talkback mic. That's actually a brilliant idea. It doesn't have to have the best quality to be able to talk to your ears, but it's portable and it's wireless and it's battery powered. So check out that video if you're looking for a good talkback mic that can also be wireless. That way you can also move it wherever you want on stage, and it does make it a little bit easier to set up. Okay, so method 2 is basically just expanding on method 1. So if you have a microphone set up, it's basically always going to be going into your in-ear monitors. It's usually not a problem, although if it's right by the drums, sometimes you can get a signal bleed, although if it's, if the drums are back over here and this is, the mic is pointed this way, you might not pick it up. But then at the same time, having an ambient mic to pick up kind of just the room noise can also be helpful to keep you from feeling isolated. I'm getting off topic here, but basically, with method 1, you are always getting that microphone directly into your in-ears. What if there's just a way to turn on and off that microphone? There's 3 different ways that you can do this. So one is a microphone with an on and off switch. Seems very obvious, right? You can get very cheap microphones with an on and off switch. This doesn't have to be the best audio quality. You just have to be able to get it into your ears. So if the singer, again, I'm just assuming it's a singer, whoever needs to communicate with the band, goes to the microphone, flips a switch, says, skip this song, go to set 2, flips it off, goes back to record. Not record, goes back to perform. So that's the first option. The second option is, well, what if your singer plays guitar? So they're going to be strumming and then they have to flip a switch, communicate, flip the switch back, and then go back to strumming. That's not quite ideal. So the other option that you have is you have a mute switch. Usually this is done with a pedal, not so much a switch on the mic, but a pedal that's usually on the floor. I found this one online, very, very simple. Microphone goes into the pedal goes out to wherever you're routing the microphone to go to, usually your in-ear monitor rack. You step on it when you want it to unmute, and then either you step on it again to mute it, or it's a momentary switch where you step on it and it's unmuted, and then you let go and it goes back to being muted. That's option 2. Really, any mute switch or foot switch that mutes will work. This one will be linked down below if you want to check it out. And the third option is the most advanced, and I've seen this done actually at a show that I did a fill-in for, a proximity sensor on the microphone. So this is really cool. So with this device, the microphone is always muted until you get within a proximity of, the proximity sensor. So it'll kind of be like pointed up towards the mic like this, usually underneath. When you're away from the microphone, it's just constantly muted. But then once you hit a certain threshold and, and the proximity sensor realizes that you're close and you're basically on the mic, it'll unmute the mic and then you can talk into it. And then as soon as you leave, it'll mute the mic again. I did see that at a show that I played recently. It was actually really cool and it worked really well. I looked into it. It is a bit pricey. I will link to that down below as well. If you want to use it, it is really cool, really worked well. Links will be down below. All right, so talkback mic method 3. So with the first 2, that involves setting up a separate mic altogether. Not the end of the world, but it does mean, more equipment to set up. What if you want the main microphone of your singer to switch between going into talkback and singing? So when your singer needs to sing, they're able to sing, and then they step on a switch or something like that, and it switches the microphone, the same microphone, to go out into your in-ear monitors as a talkback. So that is an option. There's a foot switch that does this. There's 2 of them actually. And this was actually the option that we used for the longest time in a corporate wedding band that I play with. It actually worked really well. Basically, you plug the microphone into this switch into the input, and then there's 2 separate outputs. So output 1, you're going to route that to wherever it needs to go for vocals. For us, input 1 on our mixer is for vocals. I know it normally should be kick, but input 1 is for vocals, for, front of house for the audience to hear. Channel 15, I said, is for our talkback. So output 2 will go into channel 15 on our mixer. Again, output 1 will go to input 1 on our mixer. That is for front of house to hear. And then output 2 on this little switch will go into channel 15 on our mixer, and that will never have the fader out for front of house. It just goes directly into our ears. Same microphone, you're singing, you step on this switch, it switches to just our in-ear monitors as a talkback. Hey, skip this song. Hey, I need to change my guitar strings. Don't start the next song yet. And then step on it again and go back to singing whatever you need to do. If it's a wedding, you're probably singing Uptown Funk, right? You don't have to run back to a separate microphone. It's just all in the same microphone. So the one that we use is called the Hot Shot by RADIAL. This one is good. It's worked well. The one that I found that I'm definitely interested in, that I like the most based on the research I did for this video, is the Rolls MS112. Same idea, 1 in, 2 out, same routing idea. But with this option, you get the option of a latching one or a momentary one. So a latching one means you're singing, you step on it, and then it switches to talkback, and then you step on it again, and it goes back to singing. With Momentary, what you can do is you can be singing and then you can step on it, and while your foot is on this pedal, it'll go out to the talkback, the output 2, and then as soon as you let go of the pedal, it goes back to singing. I like that it has a switch for both options. That can be very useful. Pretty sweet, and that one is a little bit cheaper as well. So links will be down in the description below for both of them. All right, method 4. So like I said, we used method 3 for a long time. That works a lot better when it's a wired microphone, so it goes wired into this input and then, out the 2 outputs and route it wherever you need to. We use a lot of wireless in my bands. No surprise if you've seen my channel. So I had to do this with a wireless setup. Our singer liked to have it right underneath his foot. The idea was he didn't want to run back, to the drum mic in order to step on it and then, go back to performing. It wanted to be right under his foot, say something, step on it again, and go right back to singing. It makes sense for sure. However, 2 things is that 1, it was just annoying to route that much. I mean, part of wireless was to have stuff off stage. And 2, I'm obsessed with having a clean stage. Wireless microphone, wireless in-ears, wireless guitar. Even this is my pedal board. It's a wireless Bluetooth pedal board that syncs up to my guitar. Check out the video that I did on this awesome guitar that I use now. This is my main guitar, and this is my pedal board. I don't even need power or anything else. Check out that video if you're interested in checking that out. So for me, it drove me nuts to have all those cables running up to the front of the stage when my goal was to have as much of a clean stage as possible. So all of that, me being annoyed with having to run these cables, led me down the rabbit hole to see if I could do this with MIDI. And after that long intro, method 4 is doing this with MIDI. So sure enough, you can, and this is how I did it. So basically, you just need one button from MIDI to send to your mixer. If you have a mixer that's controlled with MIDI, mine is, I use the X32. But basically, so remember, channel 1 is for singing, channel 15 is for the talkback. So basically what I want to do is I want to push one button, it'll send a MIDI signal to unmute channel 15 and mute channel 1, and then step on it again, and it will remute channel 15 and unmute channel 1. So as soon as you step on it, it goes to talkback, then the main microphone is muted, and then you step on it again, and then the talkback mic is muted, and the main microphone is unmuted so that you can sing. Does that make sense? And because it's a digital mixer, channel 1 and channel 15 both read on input 1. That's the cool thing about a digital mixer. So to set this up in your digital mixer, I'm using the Mixing Station app here. But what you want to do is you want to set the input for fader 15. I should say fader more than channel, because this 15th fader right here is by default set to read what is plugged into input 15 on your mixer. But I'm going to change that to read on channel 1, what is plugged into channel 1, which is our vocal channel. So I actually don't need to plug anything into channel 15 on our mixer, just channel 1. Wireless vocal plugs into input 1. Now I'm assigning the fader 1 to be controlled by input 1, and fader 15 now is being controlled by what is plugged into input 1. Does that make sense? So they're both going to read what is plugged into input 1, which in this case is my lead singer's vocals. They never should be unmuted together at the same time, and they never should be muted together at the same time. I'm switching between them digitally by muting and unmuting them. So I did find a pedal that can do this. It's the MIDI Baby. This is a 1-button MIDI pedal. Works great. It's very programmable. The only thing that's kind of annoying is that you have to plug in power in order to get it to work. So I actually have to use this guy right here, which is, a portable power bank. It has a switch on it so that I can leave it always on, because this thing just draws so little power that and just like a normal power bank like this would shut off. So I had to use something that I could leave on constantly. This one's actually been discontinued, but I'll link to another one down below in the description as well. So if you are interested in how to do this on the XR32, I will show you just really quickly what the steps are. So on the X32, you want to push setup and then page over until you get to remote. And then you want to make sure that both of these are enabled: MIDI in and out and channel mute controller change. And then these are the settings for my MIDI Baby. You can see right here. So it's basically toggling between these two. It'll send these 2 messages the first time I step on it, and it'll send these 2 messages the second time I step on it. And it'll just switch and toggle between those 2. If you know nothing about MIDI programming, check out my MIDI programming guide. But you can see it sends on channel 2. Channel 2 is the channel for the X32 to turn on and off mutes on the channel. So you can see on the first one, I have to send CC value of 0. This is where it gets a little confusing. CC 0 is actually for channel 1 because MIDI goes from 0 to 127. So CC 0 controls channel 1, CC 1 controls channel 2, and so on and so forth. So CC 0, which is channel 1, I want to send a value of 127, which is to unmute it. And then at the same time, I want to send CC 14, which is going to control channel 15, a value of 0, which is going to mute it. And then the exact opposite happens the next time I push it. For channel 1, mute it. For channel 15, unmute it. Any MIDI controller that you use basically needs to send these types of commands. Again, if you don't understand MIDI programming, watch my video or just copy what I have here for the MIDI Baby. But I do recommend the MIDI Baby. Again, I will post links down below in the description. Okay, method 5, the most advanced version of a talkback mic. We've already done wireless, we've done MIDI, but I still have to run a MIDI cable to the MIDI Baby, right? Well, no, because you can use wireless MIDI as well, thanks to something called the WIDI jack and the WIDI master. So yes, I am doing this with wireless MIDI in order to trigger a talkback mic. That's how obsessed I am with having a clean stage. So this is the WIDI master. It's plugged into the MIDI Baby. So instead of having to run a MIDI cable to this, it's plugged in here. So in the back of my rack, I have another WIDI master. The in and out is plugged in there. The other option that you have is the WIDI jack right here. I have reviewed both of these, WIDI master and WIDI jack. They're phenomenal wireless MIDI systems. Definitely check them out. Check out my video if you're interested in learning more about them. So the two WIDI masters will automatically pair with each other and sync up. So now, same thing that we went over in method 4, it just transmits wirelessly using the WIDI master system. It's been very, very reliable so far. The thing is that the other WIDI master is in the rack. It's buried in the rack. If you watched my video on 5 common wireless mistakes, one of the ones is that people will put, their wireless antennas in the rack. So you're not supposed to do that. I have had good luck with it so far using this method. If I could get a better line of sight, I definitely should probably do that. And I'll probably look into a way of doing that in the future. Again, the only thing that annoys me about the MIDI Baby is that it's not battery powered. They totally could make this battery powered. If you guys know of a way to make this battery powered that I don't need to rely on this big brick right here, or if you know of a single button programmable battery powered MIDI device, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm definitely interested in checking that out. All right, so there you go, 5 different methods for doing a talkback mic. Before we go, I know this video is already way longer than I was planning on it being, but I do want to give you 2 important tips before we leave. So I have been using these talkback mics for quite a while, and these 2 tips I definitely think are very important and have definitely helped me out. So first of all, I EQ the talkback mic different than, a singing mic. So when my singer is singing, it sounds normal, everything sounds normal. But when they go to talk to the talkback mic, it sounds like this. So now, I've scooped out all the lows, usually a pretty good amount that it's very, Elvis radio type of sound. So when I hear this audio, when I hear this type of effect, I know that they're talking to me or talking to the talkback mic. It's such a little detail, but when you play, 4-hour nights and stuff like that, sometimes I'm just zoning out and I don't know if someone's talking to me or if they're talking to the audience. But as soon as I hear this EQ that you're hearing right now, I know, oh, okay, I need to pay attention to what's being said. It also does help just like cut through, the low end, and it really just, it goes right into your ears and you really are able to hear it. It cuts above anything else so that I can hear it a lot better as well. So that's also a plus. It's such a small detail, but it really does help, and it actually leads into tip 2 that I have for you. Tip 2 is, I don't know about you guys, but I know that the talkback mic is going to be used at some point to tell a dirty joke, to say how much of a dick the sound guy is, or to talk about, the hot mom that is checking out your drummer. It's not just going to be used for communicating the important stuff to your band members. One of the bands I filled in for, they didn't call it the talkback mic, they called it the talk smack mic, which was perfectly appropriate for what the talkback mic ends up getting used for sometimes. So really make sure if you use method 3, 4, or 5, that you know that it is not going to front of house at all. With method 1 and 2, it's a separate microphone that's pretty hard to screw up unless if you have, the sound guy who's in charge of it, if you're not in charge of that directly, so it still can happen. But you do want to make sure that that mic is not going to front of house. So my method for that is whoever is on in-ears for that talkback mic, so whether it's a singer or if it's me, let's pretend it's me for the show that I do where I have to communicate with people. So when I step on the mic, instead of hearing, that EQ in my ears, I hear nothing in my ears. That's how I know that the talkback is correctly routed. So I'll test it at sound check, if the talkback is working properly and you can't hear it in front of house. In my in-ear monitors, when I talk into the talkback mic, I cannot hear what is being said into the talkback mic. That's how I know it is successfully routed. So that's just going to the musicians and not to front of house, especially if you use the MIDI method. If you step on it and it doesn't switch for some reason, I always do a check. So I'll step on it and go, tss, tss, tss. If I can still hear myself, that means, oh, I'm still going out to front of house. So I step on it again. And now if I do tss, 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 and I cannot hear it, that means that I know that it is routed correctly and it is going to the in-ear monitors of the musicians. Because you know that the one time it's going to fail is the time that you tell the dirtiest joke to your musicians, or, you know, someone goes into the mic and says, this hole of a sound guy is the biggest hole I've ever met in my whole life. You know, that is going to be the time that your talkback mic is going to fail and it'll go to front of house, of course, right? So just make sure you have that fail safe in place. All right, so that's basically it. More info than you ever needed about how to set up and use a talkback microphone. So I hope you guys found this content helpful. If you did, especially if you made it to the end of this video, please do me a favor and just hit the thumbs up button. It does a ton to feed the YouTube algorithm, recommend my channel to more people, and help more people find this video. So I would sincerely appreciate it. All the gear I mentioned in this video, purchase links will be down below in the description. Using those links is another free way to support the channel. Leave a comment down below if I missed something, or if there's another method that you guys use for a talkback microphone, or how you guys are just using a talkback microphone in general. I'm definitely curious to hear from you guys. I do have a video on 10 items that have helped with my in-ear monitor rack setup. I also have a video breaking down my compact in-ear monitor rack setup as well. Both of those videos you can check out by clicking the links on your screen now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at Scott Ewell Music on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. It's such a small tip, that's what she said,